Wow. Wow. What a game. Two legs of absolutely classical Champions League football. I would have watched two more legs of that. Inter 4, Barcelona 3 on aggregate 7-6 as Inter Milan. I don't even want to say cause an upset because I don't even think they were underdogs coming into this tie. I think they were equals with Barcelona, and Inter Milan see it through. They fought till the last minute, literally until the last minute, and booked themselves a trip back to a Champions League final again under Inzaghi. We have so much to talk about, so make sure you guys hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well if you are new here. I'm going to start with, for me, the player across two legs that was an absolute catalyst for everything Inter Milan did. Denzel Dumfries, as a right wing back, or naturally just being able to play as a wing back. Necessarily not every team needed Denzel Dumfries, but Inter Milan absolutely do, because his ability to play so wide, where essentially he's playing as a winger, even in defensive transitions, and Inzaghi entrusts him to hold the width and get forward, and man, he was causing problems for Martin. I know Barcelona are missing Balde, and I actually think he is a huge miss, not just for them, but even for the way that Rafinha has been playing this season. But Denzel Dumfries walking away with the game with 2 assists last week as well, getting two goals and an assist as well. Absolutely ridiculous. He has, for me, easily, without a shadow of a doubt, been the player of the fixture for Inter Milan. Came up so big with those chances, and you know what, as a Man United fan who has a team that's trying to play with wing backs, I look at Inter Milan in admiration, especially with what their wing backs are able to do on both sides, because DiMarco for 55 minutes of this leg in particular was going forward and had so much space in behind against Eric Garcia. Because Lamine Yamal doesn't have defensive responsibilities as much as maybe other wingers do, he was able to exploit that and get forward. And you know, for the first half, I think easily, without a doubt, Inter were the stronger team. They were the better team. I was so shocked towards the end of the game, thinking there is no way Inter have thrown away a 2-0 lead twice in this fixture against Barcelona. But the wing backs were absolutely huge. And just on the other side for Barcelona, playing their backup fullbacks in Eric Garcia and Martin, and both of them, one of them coming away with a goal, which was again the catalyst for the comeback for Barcelona in the second half, and Martin getting 2 assists, 2 great deliveries in, and you can see he was looking to get the ball in quite a lot, but with Ferran Torres, he's not really an out-and-out striker. He's not that 9 that's going to get up in the air in comparison to maybe what they would have got from Lewandowski across the season. And even when Lewandowski came on, I'm going to get to that, but I don't think he had that much impact for Barcelona, unfortunately. But for me, 2 standout players, 2 wing-backs that just showed you wing-back play at its finest. And another player for me that was very important for Inter Milan, and actually I think was a core reason as to why they were able to make that comeback, was Jan Sommer. Because cast your minds back to a counter-attack from Barca, 3v2, and I think it's Garcia actually that gets the shot off in the end, and Jan Sommer makes a huge save, huge save, but he has the entire right side of the goal to aim at. Instead, he goes straight through the middle. It's one of those decisions where you think you made the wrong decision. That ball should have been in the back of the net easily. 3-on-2 counter attack like that. Inter really were lucky in that instance, but I also think it was down to a big save from Jan Sommer, and Jan Sommer made some huge saves across both games. 7 saves in this particular leg, 14 across both, and just think about, you know, quite a few. One of the shots from Lamine Yamal cutting in on his left foot and trying to put a ball into the bottom left hand corner, he makes a great save. Another one going top corner, he makes a great save. Jan Sommer just putting on a goalkeeper clinic, if you want to say that, in this fixture for Inter Milan. Across Inter's team, they had to dig deep. They had to really dig deep. Just quickly, I feel like Frankie de Jong, for me, I don't know, Barca fans, what your expectations are for Frankie de Jong, but the Frankie de Jong Pedri midfield, I think, was a bit passive throughout most of the 90 minutes, especially like the first 60 or so minutes. They were always trying to find the side pass, the back pass, not trying to get the ball advancing. And maybe in those moments, they're meant to find the ball into Dani Olmo's feet, or try and find Rafinha, who, again, because of Martin kind of playing a more advanced role. He was tucking in more centrally. Ferran Torres, for me, like I said, was a null factor throughout his involvement of 90 minutes before Lewandowski came on. And Rafinha was picking up different pockets of space, trying to be a catalyst for Barcelona in possession. And he just was not able to do that. Now, there are some moments, I think, in the game where Barcelona could have put the game to bed, but football is a game of fine margins, guys. It's really a game of fine margins, and you just cast your minds back to that shot from Lamine Yamal that hits the post. And what does that lead to? I was watching the game on Amazon, and the commentators were praising Lamine Yamal for not taking the more pragmatic route of taking the ball to the corner flag and just trying to use his strength to hold the ball in the corner flag, and instead, running at the defenders and getting the shot off and hitting the post. And that could have been game over. A few minutes left for Barca. He definitely didn't see what was on the horizon, but simply as that, the ball ends up down the other side of the pitch. And again, Denzel Dumfries. I can speak about what he did for Inter, but I think maybe people will start to pay more attention to him as a wing back, as a traditional wing back. And unfortunately, a lot of teams in Europe don't play with wing backs. So like I said, a lot of teams don't need a player like Denzel Dumfries, but he is perfect for Inter. He's perfect for Inzaghi, and he's perfect for the role that Inzaghi wants him to do. Absolutely bodying the defender, using his physical strength. Some people were saying to me on Twitter that was a foul. I didn't think that was a foul. I just thought that was an example of him using his core strength. And again, when you have a target man in the middle, you need wing backs that can always find them, and that's something that Dumfries is good at. DeMarco is good at that as well. And 37 years old, scoring your first goal in the Champions League, and it's the equalizer to send it to extra time to hopefully take your team to a final. That is unreal. That is absolutely unreal. Big praise as well for Lautaro Martinez, because I really felt like it looked like he was hobbling throughout most parts of the game, and he was trying to persevere, trying to get through the game and give Inter everything that he had. And just quickly on Barcelona as a whole, in terms of their season and under Hansi Flick, is this a failure on their season? No, I don't think so. Today, I think it was just it was great end-to-end football, especially for a neutral like myself. Either team could have come out on top. The fact that Barca were up with a couple of minutes left and Inter Milan just wasn't going away just shows you the mentality shift in this Inter Milan team, especially with what's happening in the league and how they're chasing Napoli in the league. They just would not go away, and that is big. That is huge. That's a huge mentality to have. But because to be up 2-0 across both legs, you don't want to be the team that threw away a two goal lead twice and cost yourselves a Champions League final. You don't want to be the team that does that, not at all. And Inter Milan just wouldn't go away. And just like I said, quickly on Barcelona, in terms of how they're playing under Hansi Flick. Hansi Flick's mentality is very, I think, it's there on show. He's consistent with the way that he wants his team to play, always going to play the high line, even when it comes to conceding 4 to Atletico, and multiple goals to Benfica, multiple goals to Barca. Their high line can be exploited, and it shocks me that Real Madrid have played them 3 times this season and haven't really found the way to exploit them in terms of their high line in the way that other teams have been able to do. Barella, top performance in terms of just dictating the game. I feel like it's funny because in the first half for me it was all Inter. Second half it was all Barca. And suddenly once that kind of third goal went in for Barca, I just was not convinced. And like I said, football is always a game of fine margins. But again, this is prime time football. Mehdi Taremi coming off the bench, giving Inter exactly what they needed, because throughout the second half, they looked dry for legs. They looked tired. They looked exhausted, like they had nothing left in the gas. And Lautaro coming off and Taremi coming on, just doing that. He did exactly what Inzaghi wanted him to do. Get in behind, or try and get in behind, use his physical dominance and physical presence against the back line. Just hold the ball up and find the runners, find the midfielders when you're holding the ball up. Because there was parts of the game where Inter could not string 2 passes together. They could not get out of their own third. Barcelona were pressing them and forcing possession out of their feet. And Barcelona dominated possession throughout 90 minutes of the game. And yet Inter were still able to come out on top. 4-3 in the fixture, 7-6 across both games. It's one of the most entertaining Champions League games, guys, that I have watched in a long time. I genuinely did not know who was coming out on top. And that fourth goal, that kind of, if you want to say the final nail in the coffin, I don't even think that was the final nail in the coffin. I think it's more telling that across the last 20 minutes or so, I just didn't see where Barcelona were going to get that equalizer from. Lamine Yamal was trying to pull Barcelona through a few chances. They were trying to put deliveries in the box. Lewandowski with 2 chances on goal, 2 headers, which I would have expected better from him, but coming back from injury and not being 100% match fit and not 100% match ready, I can understand those circumstances. But overall, across the 2 legs, this was entertaining football for me. I'm not gonna lie. I said this, guys, when the bracket came out back in February. I said that Barcelona do not want to match up against Inter Milan in the semi-final in comparison to maybe a Bayer Leverkusen or a Bayern Munich, because out of all the teams on that side of the bracket, the only team that I think that would give them 2 good games and could actually beat them would have been Inter Milan, because of, again, a lot of the aspects of Hansi Flick's football in comparison to Inzaghi's. Inzaghi's football, I think, is very deep rooted in understanding the opponent and finding ways to exploit and capitalize on any situations that they willingly put themselves in. Inter wasn't the team, or Inter weren't the players that were, forcing Barcelona's high line, and they were exploiting it. They knew that that is a weakness from Barcelona and they are going to persist with it. So they were finding ways to exploit it. And Inzaghi's football is so deep rooted into systematic football and having the players, Bastoni, what a left-sided centre-back, honestly, DeMarco, Çalhanoğlu, everybody in that Inter team absolutely carried their weight. But I'm sure Barcelona fans are going to be so disappointed with the outcome. Did the better team win? Let me know if you guys feel like the better team won across both legs, because across both legs, I actually think they may be equal when you put into consideration all of the elements and all of the factors. The Hansi Flick quadruple is not going to happen in his first season, albeit it would have been a great story for Hansi Flick. Lamine Yamal is not getting his hands on the champs, nor is Rafinha, and all they have now is potentially a domestic treble and still a couple of games to go in La Liga, whereas Inter Milan on the other side booked themselves a trip into the finals of the Champions League, and they wait to see if PSG or Arsenal will be their opponents. And what honestly a competition for Inter Milan, because even though they were on the other side of the bracket where Barcelona were, they didn't have an easy path. They did not have the easier path in the bracket. I think Barcelona had the easier side up until the semi-finals in comparison to Inter Milan's opponents across the bracket. But there we have it, guys. The first team in the final of the Champions League. Barca fans, are you disappointed? Let me know your thoughts down below. Inter fans, how are you feeling after that? Is your heart rate gone down? Let me know your thoughts. For me, man of the match across both legs, easily Denzel Dumfries. Make sure you hit the like button, guys. Be sure to subscribe as well if you're new here.